for the Chargers, it's a simple proposition. Win one of your final 2 games, and you're the champion in the AFC West. More complicated for the Jets, mathematically alive, but they have about as much chance as a Democrat running for Congress. Obviously, they need a win today to stay alive. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Meadowlands. Tom Hammond and Chris Collinsworth. Each of these teams has been in a slump lately, losers in 5 of their last 8 games. For the Chargers, injuries have a lot to do with it.
Boy, I tell you what, they have been hit hard by that injury bug. But when they started off 6-0, everyone just assumed that this was the best football team in the AFC. And I think I agree with that. Unfortunately for them, they have had so many injuries, they just simply have not had a chance to play their best football. If they can go on, win today, beat Pittsburgh next week, get healthy, get a little time off, this is a team to be very dangerous in that Super Bowl hunt.
Just a few weeks ago, the Jets were the hottest team in the AFC, and this has to be a bitter development for the veterans who are brought in to win now.
And there are a lot of people on this football team that need to prove that they belong for next season. We'll start right off with Boomer Esiason. Boomer needs a couple of good games under his belt to prove that he should be back as a quarterback next season. You can talk about the general manager, Dick Steinberg, Art Monk, Ronnie Lott. A lot of these players with so much to prove over these last couple of ball games.
Well, the Chargers have won the toss and will receive to get the game underway today. And obviously a must-win game for the Jets to stay even mathematically alive for the playoffs. And the Chargers would like to win and then not have to worry about beating the hot Pittsburgh Steelers next week to win the AFC West. Coleman and Harmon are the deep men for the Chargers. Coleman deepest of all as Nick Lowry tees it up and is ready to kick it off. Who would have guessed sunshine and 40 degrees on a December Sunday in New Jersey?
Really a bit of a break for the Chargers as they come in from the West Coast.
And came in a day earlier than usual. Their record in the Eastern time zone has not been good. Got an extra day to acclimate themselves. From the 10-yard line, Coleman will be spun down at the 29 as flags fly. 18-yard return will check the penalties. Jerry Markwright is today's referee. And still no sign. Here's Jerry.
Holding number 54 on the return. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Miller guilty of a hold will set the Chargers back. Here are the starting lineups. First for the Chargers. Up front, that 325-pound rookie Isaac Davis getting the start at left guard. That's a banged-up offensive line. And, of course, in the backfield, Natron Means, second leading AFC rusher, 1,192 yards, 34 short of the San Diego seasonal record, and on his way to his first Pro Bowl. On passing downs, Martin will be the third wide receiver. Humphries, the quarterback, hands to Means, who falls down and then is surrounded by green shirts and driven all the way back to about the 6-yard line. Forward progress marked at about the 11. Aaron Glenn was the first to get to Means after he lost his footing. Jets defensively line up this way, and up front, Lageman, 6.5 sacks, leads the team. Mo Lewis, disappointed at not making the Pro Bowl, leading the team in tackles for the 3rd straight year. Pat Terrell replaces Brian Washington at strong safety, and this could be the final home game for one of the all-time greats, Ronnie Lott. In the nickel, Marcus Turner, the 5th defensive back, and Means, who was a little banged up anyway, must have twisted his ankle or knee as he fell down.
He's been having problems with that knee. I talked to him just before the ball game today, and I asked him how he felt. Said, I'm like 95%. He was in a good mood. He was happy. He was healthy. And now all of a sudden comes out on the first play. May have hyperextended that right knee just a little bit when he slipped on the wet turf.
Eric Bieniemy replacing Means, gets the handoff. And he's collared at about the 17-yard line. Tony Casillas, one of those veterans brought in to win now, signed, of course, this year after rejecting the Chiefs, makes the tackle for New York. Natron Means on the sideline, and he has been in a slump, perhaps due to those injuries. He has gone 5 weeks without a 100-yard rushing game and has scored just a touchdown in those 5 games.
And just watching him on the sideline, it looks like he may be okay. He's bouncing on his toes now, and looks like Natron may be able to go back in.
After that brilliant start, he has really fallen off of late. Chargers On third down, see Humphries sacked all the way back to the 5-yard line as James Hasty came on a corner blitz and arrived before Humphries could set up. Big defensive play for the Jets.
James Hasty coming from right at the end of the line of scrimmage, right there on the corner blitz. The Chargers not a good football team in third down and long situations. Looked like James Hasty may have grabbed the face mask. You see Humphries there trying to signal to the referee, but to no avail.
No call on the face mask as Ryan Wagner boots it out of there. Taken at the 40-yard line by Clifford Hicks. Hicks with a nice return, then is upended just short of the 45-yard line of San Diego by Andre Coleman. 53-yard punt and a 15-yard return. So the Jets take over for the first time, and here's the way they'll line up with the veteran center Jim Sweeney in his 11th NFL season anchoring the offensive line. In the backfield and among the receivers, Art Monk, fresh from the record center, looks for a catch in 179 straight games. Rob Moore, the only Jet in the Pro Bowl. Richie Anderson replacing Brad Baxter at fullback. Pete Carroll hopes that'll give his offense a needed spark. Rookie Ryan Yarbrough, the third wide receiver. First down, Boomer Esiason to the air and finds his man wide open, Art Monk. So there's 179 straight games for the NFL's all-time record setter. 19 yards and a first down. Junior Seau made the tackle. San Diego's defense lining up this way, and among the defensive linemen, Leslie O'Neal has been named to his 5th Pro Bowl. He's second in the AFC with 11.5 sacks. Junior Seau, despite all the injuries, also selected to the Pro Bowl. It's his 4th time. He leads the team in tackles. In the secondary, Gordon and Richards, 4 interceptions each. Passing situations, Van Horst, the 5th defensive back. Johnson fumbles, and the Chargers have it. Johnny Johnson on his first carry fumbles the ball, and Junior Seau is the man that recovers. Looked like Sean Lee knocked the ball loose from Johnny Johnson, and Seau collared it.
Just looked like Johnny Johnson never really had a great grip on that football, and there he is, Junior Seau, even with that bad shoulder.
Jets. San Diego just recovering a New York fumble, and back in the game, Natron Means, who was a bit shaken up on the first play from scrimmage in the game, has shaken off the injury in his back as the lone setback. Ronnie Harmon in the slot to the bottom of your screen. 3 wide receiver formation. Humphries hands to Means, makes a cut up, lowers his head and pounds to the 30-yard line. Means with a 9-yard run on first down. Looks like he is back, although a bit gimpy as he goes back to the huddle. James Hasty finally got Natron to the turf.
Nice job with the guys up front. One of the strategies that the Chargers had for today, they wanted to stay in a 1-back set. They felt like that the Jets like to play an 8-man front when they played a 2-back set, so they'll be using a lot of 1-back set today to try and keep Ronnie Lott out of that middle.
Here they are in 2-back with Pafunu, the fullback, Means the tailback. He lowers his head and pounds close to the first down. They went to that I formation on second and short. And Means is very close. Bobby Houston at the bottom of the pile for the Jets.
Also, the San Diego Chargers today starting a rookie at left guard in Isaac Davis. He's the run stud on that offensive line. But in talking with Ralph Friedgen, the offensive coordinator, I asked him, how do you think Isaac's going to do today? And he said, I don't know. He's never played before. A little concerned. I said, well, it's a good thing that it's not in a big game or anything for you guys.
Davis, 6'3", 325 pounds, a rookie second-round choice from Arkansas. Twice was all SEC, and Bobby Ross says he has the physical tools. He's just still learning. The Jets shaken up. It looks like it is Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones has had enough injuries to last a lifetime. Very young player. Was the Butkus Award winner in college, playing at Florida State University, had the fractured hip, and just so many injuries have haunted him throughout the course of his career. He was supposed to be the forget-about-it linebacker. You put him in there at middle linebacker and forget about that position for the next 10 or 15 years, but so far he just has not been able to keep himself on the football field.
Lombardi Award winner, Butkus Award winner, is the top linebacker. In fact, finished 4th in the Heisman Trophy voting. He's named Player of the Year as a senior at Florida State. First down play. Humphrey's pass to a wide open Mark Say. It'll be close to a 10-yard gain and a first down. One of the Jets came away with the football, Kyle Clifton, as he and Lewis got Say to the ground, but no fumble ruled. A 10-yard gain and another San Diego first down, and now Mark Say is gimping.
Well, this has been a rough start to this ball game. I was down on the field just before we started. The field is very slick. It looks dry. It's a sunny day, and you wouldn't think about it being a wet, slick sort of a day, but it is. That field very wet.
Means changes direction. It nets him only about a yard, wrapped up by Mo Lewis. Lewis very vocal this week in his disappointment of not making the Pro Bowl. Comes into the game with 133 tackles, had 17 against New England, and for the third straight year will be the Jets' leading tackler.
And if Mo Lewis didn't make the Pro Bowl this year, he may never make it, because he has been simply sensational. Had another big day last week against the Lions. 12 tackles, has 4 interceptions this year, only 3 the entire rest of his career. This is a guy that deserves to be in the Pro Bowl.
Means lowers his head to the 50. He'll be a yard short of the first down as he's hit by Pat Terrell after a gain of 7.
In 5 formation, the San Diego Chargers are keeping Ronnie Lott out of the running game. They're putting Natron Means back there. They're splitting 3 wide receivers out, and Ronnie Lott is forced to play the deep center field. He's certainly a very good safety playing that center field position, but where he's most effective is when he can get up and get involved in the running game.
Third down and just a little less than 2 to go for the first down. Means has the first down. He cracks inside the 45 down to the 43 of the Jets. That's another 7-yard run for Means as the running game shows signs of coming to life for the Chargers. It took Hasty and Terrell to get Means down that time.
Well, Natron Means off to a hot start already, 25 yards, but he has really struggled the last 5 games, averaging just 60 yards per game, and that's after the first 9 in which he was basically averaging 100 yards a ball game. So if the Chargers can get Natron Means on track, they have a much better chance this afternoon.
On the sideline, Eric Bieniemy replaces him as Humphreys goes deep down the sideline for Martin, who snags it. No, he was out of bounds. No catch ruled. He and Aaron Glenn were running together, and they say Martin juggled the ball before he got both feet in bounds. It's ruled no catch.
Well, they really let Aaron Glenn get away with a lot of bumping on this play as they went down the field. I thought it looked like a clean catch. Tony Martin just never controlled it. Good call by the officials. You could see he had to double clutch it down around his knee. Good call.
Could have called the illegal contact, though.
Yeah, it looked like there was a lot of bumping going on all the way down the field.
2nd and 10 from the 43 of the Jets. Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy to the 35-yard line. Wrapped up there by Donald Evans, who had to make the tackle from behind. That's a gain of 8. And the guys up front in that battered offensive line of the Chargers doing a good job on this possession.
But Isaac Davis really is known as a run blocker, so they probably don't lose that much with Joe Picozo as far as the running game's concerned. Where San Diego has to worry is if they get in a situation where they have to throw it and Davis has to come back and pass block.
But the guys that stands out, doesn't he? Almost intercepted, intended for Papunu, and Terrell made a run at it, but just couldn't quite hold it.
And for Pat Terrell, this is his opportunity. The Jets have benched their longtime strong safety, Brian Washington, in favor of Pat Terrell. No injury involved as far as Brian Washington. The coaching staff they don't even understand what happened to Brian Washington. It's almost like he's lost interest or something. They were really concerned about him being so down in the dumps, so much so they put Pat Terrell in the game this week.
4th and 2, and the Chargers will go for it. Means will not get it. Marvin Washington was the first man to meet him, and then the green shirts drive him back. The Chargers go for it on 4th and 2, and the Jets defense holds.
So once again, short yardage haunts the San Diego Chargers.
Place during the holiday season, but Bobby Ross would just as soon forget that drive. Chargers moved it, went for it on 4th and 2, and unable to convert. Jets take over. They move the ball well their first possession before a Johnny Johnson fumble. And Johnson on the sidelines with this first down handoff to Richie Anderson. Anderson gets a couple of yards before he's hit by Junior Seau, and Seau, perhaps a little tentative, but recovered a fumble on the first possession of the Jets and makes the tackle here.
But that may not be indicative of the way he's playing. Remember, it's that left shoulder. He says, I just am playing one-handed out here. You can see him just sort of dragging that left arm along. Those plays off to his right, much easier for him than the runs that will go off to his left.
Boomer has time, hits Rob Moore. There's a flag down as Moore will be a couple of yards short of the first down. Seau and Griggs on the tackle. Rob Moore heading to the Pro Bowl.
There was no illegal contact on the play. No foul.
That's a good reason to throw a flag.
Pete Carroll says, well, why did that flag come in there then? It did come from deep in the backfield, from the defensive backfield of the Chargers.
Jets need to make a play here on third down. This offense has really struggled over the last 9 quarters.
And, of course, the controversy swirling around Boomer Esiason, as it usually does, the quarterback. Had a spirited exchange on a radio talk show on Friday afternoon. Short drop, and he's wrapped up and sacked back at the 38-yard line. And the Jets will have to punt. Give Sean Lee credit for his 5th sack of the season. In fact, 5.5 now for Sean.
Looked like a quick throw set up by Boomer Esiason. Couldn't tell, looked like maybe Jim Sween, the one that just completely fanned on the play. But typically when you're throwing those 3-step drops, you go 1, 2, 3 and throw it or throw it away. There's no time to sit there and look.
Gordon awaiting the punt by Brian Hansen. Gordon is the leader in the AFC in punt returns. Fields it at the 10. And brings it right straight back up the field. Tackled hard at about the 28-yard line. Forward progress maybe the 29. James Thornton on the hit after an 18-yard return of a 51-yard punt. Smiles on the San Diego sideline. He's made a couple of big defensive plays, forced a fumble, and sacked Boomer Esiason. Probably wishes he had his trombone with him. He's a trombone player. He could play a 76 trombones the way he started the game. Humphries has time, finds his tight end, Dwayne Young, and Young will have a first down out of bounds across the 40-yard line, a gain of 11. Of course, a big game in the AFC East today, New England and Buffalo. Let's go to Greg Gumbel for an update on that one. Greg?
All right, Tom, at Buffalo, backup quarterback Frank Reich already earning his money today on the Bills' first drive. Reich, 26 yards to Nate Turner for a touchdown. First drive of the game for the Bills. They lead 7-3 in the first, Tom.
All right, Greg. And Frank Reich, of course, a Maryland teammate of Boomer Esiason, getting the Bills the lead. Here's Natron Means thrown back by Donald Evans and others in the New York Jets defensive front. And of course, Boomer's coach at the University of Maryland was none other than Bobby Ross, who said of all the players he's been around, he has a special feeling for Boomer Esiason, not only as a player, but as a person. He said he's a fiery player, competitive player, as competitive as any he's ever coached, but he is a compassionate man. And he told us a story about a big game they had at Maryland in his second season there against North Carolina when Boomer was just about the only good player they had, and said before the game he was snorting like a linebacker. Had to settle him down. Here's a pass, Humphries to Jefferson, which clicks for a San Diego first down. A gain of 13, and the Chargers once again moving the football.
And Aaron Glenn thinks that Sean Jefferson pushed off on that play. He went straight to the referee afterwards and said, look, just extended his arm, said he pushed off. Let's take a look. Sean Jefferson here with a nice little push, and I'd say pretty accurate call that time by Aaron Glenn.
No score first quarter, just over 5 minutes remaining. Means ball loose. The Jets say they have it, but the officials now say New York does have the fumble. So Means fumbles, and it looks like Donald Evans made the recovery. And at this holiday time, you think about Donald Evans and his life growing up as Lageman and others are celebrating. Here's the play.
This was a play, it looked like it got jammed up in front. Big Isaac Davis got out there in front, and literally Natron Means ran right into his back, and then the ball stripped out of there. Maybe Aaron Glenn, the one that first got it away.
There's Evans, and finally digging down to get the football. Evans, one of 16 children growing up in poverty in Raleigh, North Carolina. His mom, who raised all 16, died 4 days after he was drafted. He said he never had a chance to pay her back. Boomer Esiason pass to Rod Moore, wide open. Rambles inside the 40 of the Chargers, out of bounds at the 38, forced out by the Sheriff, Stanley Richard. It's a gain of 17, and the Jets come right back after the turnover.
The Chargers love to play a zone defense where they're just basically going to take their linebackers and their corners and move them backwards off the ball. We saw last week when they were playing against the San Francisco 49ers, Steve Young had tremendous success throwing underneath of both his backs and wide receivers. Looks like Boomer Esiason and the Jets taking a page out of that playbook today.
Coach Bruce Shaw saying his secondary players would have to recover from that plastering by the 49ers, recover their confidence, or it could be a factor. Adrian Morrell gets the carry and is stopped by Junior Seau.
Junior Seau still battling through those injuries. Bobby Ross told us unless he showed something a little better than what he's seen the last 2 weeks, he wouldn't be afraid to bench Junior Seau. That may be a pretty good indication, though. He made the hit with that left shoulder, and that's the one that he's so concerned about.
Just only that one game, but Junior said he wouldn't hesitate to take himself out if he were hurting the team. Johnny Johnson with his first carry since that early fumble gets a short gain before Sean Lee, who's off to a great start, makes the tackle for San Diego.
And Johnny Johnson has really been struggling lately. The first 7 games, he averaged 4.4 yards per carry. In the last 7, just 3 yards per carry. And when you look at this Jets team, and part of the reason that they have not been successful lately is that Johnny Johnson has not been able to get it done the way that he did in those first 7 ball games. He's had plenty of injuries, the hamstring, shoulder, and turf toe, but you have to look at number 39 when you look at these Jets problems.
3rd and long for Boomer. Dumps it off short to Anderson. Breaks one tackle and is diving close to the first down. Let's see if he got it. Wayne Harper finally got him out of bounds. But he broke the first tackle and will be very close to the first down.
And Tom, that's exactly why they're putting Richie Anderson in the ball game. His ability to make something happen after the catch. Brad Baxter is a good fullback, but he is not a big play guy. We talked to Pete Carroll. He said we need playmakers on the field. They think Richie Anderson can give them that element, which they have not had with this Jets offense.
That's his 15th reception of the season. And it netted a first down on great effort by Richie Anderson in his 2nd year from Penn State.
Richie Anderson just going to come out of the back right there and find a way to get open. Well, he was actually the 2nd guy coming out of the backfield. That's just a check through. All that means is that there's nobody coming to that side, just slips out. But look at the effort. Purely made by Richie Anderson. No one else had anything to do with that. They were covered down the field. That's the kind of playmaking they're looking at Richie Anderson.
6th-round draft choice that really has come on in the latter half of this season. Johnson hit before he could even take a step. Great penetration into the backfield by Leslie O'Neal.
And Bobby Ross was talking about Leslie O'Neal. He said, I know that our defense hasn't been playing very well lately, but exclude Leslie O'Neal from that group. Here's a guy that made the Pro Bowl again, his 5th Pro Bowl. He just gets the penetration, goes through the inside, disrupts things in the backfield. Nobody can play as quickly on the football field and on that defensive line as Leslie O'Neal can play.
Just over 2 minutes left in the opening quarter of a scoreless game. Boomer's pass again complete underneath, this time to Rob Moore. And Moore is inside the 25 to the 23, wrapped up by Dennis Gibson. It'll be short of the first down and bring up a 3rd for Boomer Esiason. And of course the arm strength of Boomer Esiason, a hot topic in New York, and of course it's not as strong as it was 8 or 10 years ago. Well, we asked Bobby Ross his assessment of his former pupil, and he said that it was his guile, his experience, his knowing where to get the football that made him a dangerous quarterback still at this stage of his career. So far in this game, he has not missed a pass. He's 5 for 5. On the sweep, Morrell to the 20-yard line, short of the first down. There's Junior Seau. Looked like he was hurting, but again, he made the play with some help. Dwayne Harper chiefly.
And Junior Seau just not having a whole lot of fun out there. Let's be honest, when you're in this much pain, it's difficult to go in there and throw your body around. But he's sliding through, and unfortunately, one of the things that happens when you get a shoulder injury, you start leading with your head. You saw Junior that time, and he's just dangling that left arm. It's really hurting him. And now, not only does he have the shoulder, but he has the neck, he has the knee, so many things, and he's trying to hang in there. He knows it's a big game, but you can tell he's in pain.
38-yard field goal attempt by Nick Lowry, and it's good. Lowry puts Pete Carroll and the Jets in the lead, 3-0, and the Seau is obviously in pain.
And remember, it is not a shoulder separation, it is a nerve problem. Now when you start to lead with your head and make contact with your head, that's going to create even more problems with that nerve. Junior needs to, I know it hurts to hit with his shoulder, but he needs to stay away from leading with that head. And you could tell it really shook him up. He's over on the sideline, he's wiggling that arm, he's trying to get some feeling back in it. It is just a very weak left arm for Junior Seau. And that's a dangerous situation when you start leading with that head.
Nick Lowry, who a moment ago hit his 11th straight field goal, kicking off to Coleman from the 5. Spinning his way forward, still on his feet to the 25-yard line. Andre Coleman with a 20-yard return. One of the biggest games of this next to last, the penultimate weekend of the NFL regular season, of course, is the second game of our doubleheader today. Most of you will see that matchup at Three Rivers between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Chris, we did the first game, which was in Cleveland, and was an odd game. Pittsburgh suffering a lot of penalties in the first half. Then in the second half took the lead. Cleveland scored an apparent tying touchdown that was nullified by a holding call that the replay showed did not exist. It should be a great one. Most of you will see the Steelers and the Browns in the second half of our doubleheader. Humphreys, first down pass. He wings it complete to Martin, and Tony Martin is close to the 40-yard line, and a Charger first down, a gain of 14 yards, tackled by Aaron Glenn.
Tom, they say if you watch football long enough, you'll see something new every week, but this was a one-man pattern by the Chargers. Tony Martin was the only guy out on the pattern. They had 9 other guys in blocking, and Tony Martin running one-on-one.
And that was the last play of the first quarter. It ends with the Jets leading from Giant Stadium, ready to start the second quarter. The Jets up 3-0 on the Chargers. San Diego first down at its own 38-yard line. Means picking his way forward. Made a pretty good gain out of it. 5 yards or so before Tony Casillas rips him to the turf.
And Donald Evans sort of jumped off sides and then just rode himself out of the play as they ran right in behind him. Patron Means trying to get this running game going, but this is a banged-up offensive line. Perhaps most importantly, Courtney Hall, their fine center. We were talking to Bobby Ross yesterday. He said even in practice, guys are running over him, and he is an excellent center. Typically, nobody gets the better of Courtney Hall.
Humphreys passing from that one-back set, threw it behind his intended receiver, Mark Say, and it was nearly picked off by Aaron Glenn.
Courtney Hall working hard to try and maintain, but he has that torn bicep muscle, and he's a guy that ordinarily here just makes this play on Tony Casillas, but you can see he just can't extend that arm out there, and that time Casillas almost getting there and forcing Humphreys to throw it a little sooner than he wanted to.
3rd and 5 for the Chargers. Stan Humphreys has hit 4 of 6 passes. Chased backwards and sacked. All the way back to the 30-yard line. Paul Fraze was all over Stan Humphreys, a loss of 13 yards.
And this defensive line of the Jets have come out fired up here today. They have struggled the last 5 weeks, only 6 sacks, but you can see the intensity being turned up. Ray's number 91 working against the left guard. That's Isaac Davis, the guy that we talked about, the rookie who's in there and replacing Joe Kokozo. Once again, the problems that he has in pass protection, not in run blocking.
Not a very good punt by Wagner. It'll be down at about the 35-yard line of the Jets. Hicks didn't even have to feel it, as Wagner did not get a good one, only 29 yards. Well, the Jets certainly haven't given up, as many of their fans has. The newspapers, the talk shows have all been criticizing every member of this Jets organization. But Pete Carroll told us yesterday they had a good week of practice, that his players apparently were focused. And so far in the first quarter and a little bit of the second are playing well. Some of the fans have given up. You see a lot of empty seats, all the tickets sold, but not all the fans here at Giant Stadium. And Pete Carroll, though, says they don't pay too much attention to all the criticism. They just keep it all in-house and keep their focus.
As long as Jimmy Johnson's not coaching, he doesn't care what they say.
Boomer's pass complete. James Thornton, the tight end, bursting free from a would-be tackler. He'll take it all the way into Charger territory. Looked like he was pinned against the sideline by David Griggs, the linebacker, and Thornton just broke free. And finally, Dwayne Harper had to knock him out of bounds after a gain of 14 yards.
They call him the Robo-Cop. You can see why. He just runs right through people. Nice little move for the big guy there, and just kept plowing his way down the field. Formerly with the Bears. Came over and really went through a nice little stretch in mid-season where he became the go-to guy. Since then, they've gone back more to Johnny Mitchell, but he definitely gave this offense a lift.
First down Jets, 48 of the Chargers. They lead 3-0. Anderson dropped in his tracks for a loss of a yard by Leslie O'Neal. O'Neal known as a pass rusher, but playing the run pretty tough.
Yeah, but he's using that speed and quickness in the running game. He is simply too quick for Jeff Criswell, who's playing out there at the left tackle position. That's a matchup the Jets almost now are going to have to start running away from Leslie O'Neal because Criswell unable to get him blocked. Too quick.
The veteran center of the Jets, Jim Sweeney, now out of the game, replaced by Cal Dixon. Esiason tried to swing it to Anderson, and it's incomplete. Well, you hear the fans booing. I think it's the first pass he's missed in the game. But nevertheless, this is New York.
It's like Rodney Dangerfield. This is a tough crowd, man. This is a tough. You go 6 for 7. You miss. At least you can't question his arm strength. He overthrew it. Yeah, you know, did a pretty good job. Went about 5-6 yards out of bounds.
6 defensive backs on for the Chargers on 3rd and 10. Esiason's pass overshoots Rod Moore. Esiason, feeling the pressure, went down after he delivered the football and again overshot his man. And the fans expressed their displeasure.
That time, Jeff Criswell basically threw Leslie O'Neal into his quarterback. He's trying to work on him, and see him has him matched up pretty well here, and that give him a shot, and down they go. That was not a good throw by Boomer. That was 2 straight plays overthrown.
Brian Hansen to punt. Darian Gordon deep for the Chargers, standing at his 10. Low trajectory, but it gets a good Jets bounce. They're going to be able to down that ball deep in Charger territory. It'll be down at about the 7-yard line. 42-yard punt. Backs the Chargers up deep, and they trail the Jets 3-0. Quarterback Stan Humphries, and Chris, one of the problems he has is throwing the football with injuries to his thumb and his index finger.
Yeah, it's interesting. Everybody's talking about his left elbow, and you can see the big pad on his arm right back in there. But he said the real problem I have is I sprained my thumb a couple of weeks ago. Last week I sprained my index finger, and it's hard just to grip it. So you see him over there on the sideline just gripping that football, trying to keep that thumb and finger loosened up.
And really the push as he releases the ball is what really hurts. You see he's hit 4 of 7. They'll try to run it out of the shadow of their own goal line with Natron Means, and he will lug it to about the 14-yard line, where he's tripped up by James Hasty.
Yeah, Tom, is interesting. This offensive line for the Chargers was thought of as being one of the very best early in the season when they got off to the 6-0 start. Natron Means was running so well. But in talking with some of the Jets coaches yesterday, he said that they were saying that there were a lot of guys they thought were overrated. And number 1 on that list is number 72. You see in your screen right there, Harry Swain. Said we think we're going to come right out and kick his butt tomorrow.
Means who got 7 yards on that last carry. Will not get but a yard this time to the 15. It'll bring up a 3rd down. Let's get another update now on the Bills and the Patriots from Greg Gumbel. Greg?
All right, Tom, must-win situation for both the Patriots and the Bills. So far, the Bills are doing all the talking today. This is a 47-yard pass play. Frank Reich to Andre Reed. It set up Carwell Gardner's 3-yard touchdown. 17-3 Bills in the second quarter, Tom.
All right, Greg, the Bills just won't go away, will they? Third down carry by Means, tripped up in the backfield. It dives forward and will have the first down, I believe. Ronnie Lott made the play finally on Means, but he did a great job of keeping his balance and hurling himself forward. And the spot of the football will be critical here.
Boy, and I tell you what, Stan Brock, the right tackle, just made a huge block over there on that right side. He was lying on top of his man, which is always a pretty good indication of a good block. I don't know a lot about offensive line play, but if you got your guy laying on top of their guy, that's a pretty good idea that he threw a pretty good block. The Jets say that he's the best holder in football.
Means with a first down.
Big Dwayne Young, boy, are they happy to have him back in motion over on that right side. Good block by Shannon Mitchell. Stan Brock lying on top of his guy. Natron sort of slithering along.
Neutron Natron was like a human projectile then, and in so doing has set the San Diego season rushing record, passing Marion Butts. Humphreys rifles it complete. The man wide open, that's Papunu. Alfred Papunu has a Charger first down. Run out of bounds by Mo Lewis. San Diego welcoming back 255-pound Papunu, who was missing due to injury and an integral part of their offense, blocking and catching the football.
That time Aaron Glenn did too good of a job against Tony Martin. He ran him all the way 5 yards out of bounds, but unfortunately left the other guy open inside of him.
The series began deep in Charger territory. They're banging it out steadily but surely as Natron Means rips off about 9 yards before Marvin Jones, who was shaken up earlier but has returned to the Jets lineup, makes the tackle. But there is a penalty marker on the play, and apparently against San Diego.
Holding, number 71, offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Joe Malinichik, and he's another one of those offensive linemen of the Chargers that are fighting through injuries.
He must have learned how to hold from Stan Brock. Just sort of keeps those skills going down here. Stan's a good guy, though. I'll tell you, I do like Stan Brock, and basically the Saints gave up on him. They said he's too old, he can't play anymore, and all he's done is come over here and really solidify this Charger offensive line. How's that?
Ball back at the 19 after the holding call, first and 20. Humphreys wrapped up and down. Mo Lewis with a sack that time. Jeff Lageman got a piece as well.
Well, one thing you can count on with Mo Lewis is you never know where he's going to go. Comes in and takes on Natron Means, drives him back into the quarterback. He'll blitz from the outside, blitz from the inside. Lageman comes in to clean that thing up. And that time, Mo Lewis just simply overpowered Natron Means. If you want to be considered a great back in this league, you have to run and block. Natron Means got buried on that one.
Second and 29. Chargers just about back where they started. Humphreys' pass is complete. Catch made by Jefferson. Still on his feet to the 23-yard line. Sean Jefferson with the reception. Gain of 13. Victor Green made the tackle. Green has come in place of Pat Terrell at a safety.
Victor Green, another one of those young guys that they wanted to take a look at in this ball game. There are a lot of different players that are going to get a look today. Green and Ryan Yarborough, wide receiver. Kirk Barber, a defensive end. Richie Anderson, a fullback. Pat Terrell, we talked about him already. The Jets want some answers for next year.
Rolling for protection, firing back across the middle, but short of the first down. Catch made by Mark Say, but he committed the Cardinal receiver sin. He had 13 yards, but he needed 16.
You know, and that's what happens sometimes when you don't have a veteran receiver on your team. Of course, they gave up on Anthony Miller, let him go to the Denver Broncos. They felt these young receivers could get the job done, and off and on they have done a good job. Sean Jefferson, Tony Martin, a huge game last week. Mark Say, but you really need a veteran this time of year.
Wagner's punt to Clifford Hicks, fielded at the 24. Hicks breaks free, then is wrapped up and thrown down at about the 39-yard line by Stanley Richard. 3-0 Jets. Magnet for visitors to New York City. Your kids had big eyes as they looked at that, didn't they?
They wanted one for their house. I don't think so.
Your house would probably hold it.
Outside.
First down play, Boomer Esiason. Quick toss complete to Rob Moore. Across the 50 down to the 49 of the Chargers. Darian Gordon the tackle, but a gain of 13 and a New York first down.
And 2 players down. Junior Seau is really hurting out there.
Don't know who the other one is. You have to admire the courage of Junior Seau, and you wonder if he hasn't gotten close to the point where he is hurting the team by being on the field.
And that's what he talked about yesterday. He said, if I feel like I'm hurting my football team, I'll take myself out. Looks like it may have been Darian Gordon who collided with Junior Seau, then Seau down on his left shoulder. The worst of all worlds. Your best cover guy, your best linebacker run into each other, and now they're both banged up. Looks like Darian might be okay. What a year he's had, though. Sensational on the punt returns, a couple of touchdowns, 90 and 75 yards, and guarantee as a cornerback coming across the field, the last thing you want to see is Junior Seau
bearing down on you.
I've got enough problems with Rob Moore. I don't need to take those kind of shots.
Moore has caught 4 balls for 42 yards, now just 71 shy of a 1,000-yard receiving season. Pressure on Boomer, who got it off to Anderson on the screen. Blockers forming, and he's down to the 35, a New York first down. Dennis Gibson finally got him, and Boomer is slow getting up. 14-yard gain on the screen, but Boomer waited and waited. That's the way the screen works, and then paid the price.
Like a bullfighter, you have to wait to the last moment to move. Chris Mims right there is going to come around the corner. It looked like they were trying to get him blocked on the outside. That's James Brown's, and then landing right on top of him. You could see Boomer glancing over at Leslie O'Neal to make sure that he was blocked, and then all of a sudden you turn around the other way, and here comes the fat doctor, Chris Mims, around the other side.
Boomer's still in there, though, and Darian Gordon has returned for the Chargers. Here's Johnny Johnson taking it to the 30-yard line. That's a gain of 5 or 6 yards. Carrington and Griggs combining for the hit, and a scuffle breaks out.
The one thing that you don't like as an offensive lineman is to have to go back and scoop up your quarterback. Those guys take that personally. Boomer Esiason takes good care of these guys. They go out to dinner on a weekly basis. He has them over to the house, and they believe in protecting number 7.
Why don't you treat me that way? I take care of you enough.
I can't keep up with you, big boy.
Boomer has the Jets moving. Just over 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Junior Seau back. Here's Anderson breaking free. He's to the 15-yard line. Stanley Richard, a saving tackle after a gain of 15.
And Jeff Criswell, who's been working against Leslie O'Neal, gets the better of him here. Whoa! Just takes that right arm and gives him a shot. You can see Criswell getting his competitive juices up now. He's in a street fight out there with Leslie O'Neal. Great block that time by Jeff Criswell.
Well, the Jets taking the fight right to the favored Chargers so far, even though it's only a 3-point lead. Pass complete to Mitchell. Johnny Mitchell, the tight end, wrapped up. Little or no gain on the play. David Griggs was first to arrive on the scene.
Now the Jets over there, knowing that they've got a problem with Leslie O'Neal, basically double teaming him. Looked like Jeff Criswell is going to take him to the outside, and Matt Willig, who's playing left guard, is going to help to the inside. You see the help coming over, so that really helps Jeff Criswell. If he only has to worry about Leslie O'Neal going to his outside, and he knows he has help inside, that's a big help for that veteran left tackle.
The dreaded pancake of O'Neal that time. Didn't gain anything though. Johnson picking his way forward. He'll have a yard or two. So the Jets moving it down the field and then stalling here just inside the 15. It'll be 3rd down.
And the crowd didn't particularly like that call. They want to see him open it up and take a few chances with this offense. This is an offense really struggling. We talked about it over the last 9 quarters. Scored only 2 touchdowns, and they've been outscored 56-20 during that stretch.
Two tight ends, 2-back set. Boomer will run. Tosses it at the last minute. A diving attempt made. It's incomplete. Thornton gave it a chance, and Esiason was hit again. He might be out. I don't know. See.
I'm going to tell you something. Boomer Esiason's about as tough a guy as I know, and if he's lying down there like that, he's hurt. Made an off-balance throw back over to the left and just left himself completely open. As soon as he released the ball, he's getting up. That's a good sign. Going to scramble this way. Finds Thornton late at the last second. Well, watch him turn his shoulders and just leave himself open, and then a shot to the head by Junior Seau. Can't really blame Junior Seau on that play, though, because he was just making a play, attacking. Boomer was off balance. It slipped down almost as he threw the ball, so it wasn't in any way a flagrant foul by Junior Seau. Good no call by the officials, but you can see the concern. James Thornton there, one of his best friends on the team. They hang out together. And Junior Seau is just going to come ripping out of the right side of your screen. And once again, Junior leading with the head.
Boomer saw him coming and tried to get down to the turf, and what it did was put his head right in the way of Junior's as Junior was closing in. And he had a head of steam, too, as he was rushing toward Boomer.
So many problems this year with quarterbacks and the concussions and everything that goes along with it. Tom, one thing I don't understand with the National Football League is why don't they make everyone wear those bubble helmets? I really think that that is going to help at least the quarterback position to help avoid some of these types of injuries.
We'll take a break. As he left the field, Nick Lowry will attempt a field goal. 31-yard attempt is good. His string runs to a dozen in a row, but the concern now for the condition of Boomer Esiason. Esiason, the report from the Jets bench, mild concussion, although if Boomer could think about it, he might argue with the mild part.
In my book, there's no such thing as a mild concussion. You either have one or you don't have one, and based on that hit that I saw, that's a concussion.
Jack Trudeau is the Jets' backup quarterback, as Lowry is set to kick it off to San Diego, trying to get on the board before halftime. Andre Coleman from the 11. Coleman finds a seam and closes in a hurry. Clifford Hicks rips him down at about the 36-yard line. 25-yard return. Let's go back to Greg Gumbel at NFL Live. Greg, what's happening?
All right. right, Tom, this at Rich Stadium in Buffalo on 4th and 2. Drew Bledsoe to Kevin Turner for 10 yards and a 1st and goal at the 4 on the very next play. Bledsoe to wide open Ben Coates, and with just over 8 minutes to play in the first half, the Patriots have closed it. It's the Bills 17-10, Tom.
All right, Greg, 6-0 here. Did you expect Bledsoe to be this good in his second year?
No, but Bill Parcells did. Remember the conversation we had with him?
Before Bledsoe's first pro game.
That's right.
Humphreys rolls, buys time, and hits Papunu. And the big guy rambles to the 40-yard line of the Jets. It'll be a San Diego first down, a gain of 22 yards before Papunu is forced out by Aaron Glenn.
Boy, are they happy to have Alfred Papunu and Dwayne Young back in the lineup. Papunu is a guy that is their best receiving tight end. They call him an H-back, but basically a tight end. He's been out. They've been playing Shannon Mitchell. They've been playing Aaron Lang. And basically, Stan Humphries telling us yesterday that no matter how good the rookies are, it's not like having those veterans in there.
Eric Bieniemy replacing Means in the backfield, hit hard by Donald Evans. Evans, of course, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, led their defensive linemen in tackles and sacks for a couple of years and came into the league as a running back with the Los Angeles Rams. Boomer still groggy.
Yeah,
just
by the way he blinks his eyes there, you know that it's not all quite back.
The camera zooming in and out was probably the way the world looks to him now. Humphreys being chased, got rid of it to Say. Mark Say stopped short of the first down by Glenn, and Humphreys had to scramble, and his offensive lineman finally got Casillas, who was bearing down on him, to the turf and out of harm's way.
But I like the game plan now being put together by Ralph Friedgen, the offensive coordinator, and Bobby Ross. What they're doing is they're moving Stan Humphries around. They're rolling him right, rolling him left, not giving this jet pass rush a chance to just focus in on him in the pocket.
Already over 100 yards through the air, but no points. 6-0 Jets. Play action pass. Again, Humphries rolls and spots his man Young, the tight end. He found a little seam. He sat down on that seam. Mo Lewis finally has to make the tackle, but it gained 13 yards as we come to the 2-minute warning. Timeout for the 2-minute warning in a 6-0 game. And not have to face the Steelers next week in a must-win situation, but he trails 6-0. First down, though, at the 20-yard line of the Jets. A free play for the Chargers as the flags go down, and the catch made by Dwayne Young. Here the Jets were offside.
Offside, number 92, defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Tony Casillas called for the offside.
Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator, not happy even a little bit. You come back off of the 2-minute warning and do that. Boomer Esiason trying to walk it off, but you can tell just by his gait he's still a little sluggish. Big drive here for San Diego. This is a team next to last in the red zone. They have not been able to score touchdowns inside the 20.
Jefferson to the 5-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal, San Diego. Victor Green made the tackle, a 10-yard gain, and timeout San Diego at the 1:48 mark. So the Chargers threatening here in the final 2 minutes of the half, threatening with 6 points put on the board by Boomer Esiason and Nick Lowry. Here in the first half, looks like Boomer's going to get an early start toward the locker room.
For Boomer, you just hope that he'll be able to get it back together. A lot of pressure on clubs now, what to do with their quarterbacks, and obviously a big game for the Jets. They still have playoff hopes, but you can't afford to take a chance with a player's health, especially when you're talking about concussions and blows to the head and all the attention that has been focused on the concussions this year, especially with the quarterbacks. For my money, he can just go ahead and stay in that locker room.
rather than risk it.
Yep.
Well, of course, as we said earlier, the debate has swirled around Boomer here in New York and whether or not he should be back with the $2 million+ contract next year. Chargers now at the 5-yard line of the New York Jets. First and goal. I formation. Means is the tailback. Means stopped at the 3-yard line. Tony Casillas at the bottom of the stack.
And Tom, we can't talk enough about the significance of this football game for the San Diego Chargers. The last thing they want to have to do is be able to beat Pittsburgh next week at home. They want to take care of business here today. Get some time off. Get some guys healthy. And this may well go a long way towards that Means if they can stick it in here.
Second and goal. Means the lone setback. Humphries to the air. Behind the Say and incomplete. It'll be third and goal.
And it almost becomes a mindset at this point. Mark Say is just going to work that little underneath crossing route again. You can tell it's a zone because Aaron Glenn doesn't run with him. There it is. I don't think he was expecting the football that quickly. Stan Humphries saying, just get your head around. And that's another case. And you don't want to dump it all on the receivers. But here's a case where you find a little hole in the zone, especially down on the goal line. If there's a spot that's open, just sort of settle down, get your eyes back around to the quarterback and start begging for the football. Here's where you really miss an Anthony Miller type of player, a veteran guy who's been through this time before.
Chargers call a timeout. They'll discuss the play call on third and goal from the 2 when we return to Giants Stadium. But Stan Humphrey and his offense have it third and goal from the Jet 2. You have a couple of choices. You have the second leading rusher in the AFC, Natron Means. You have the third down specialist, Ronnie Harmon.
I run it twice. I know you like Ronnie Harmon.
Well, looks like they're going to pass. Means is not there. Harmon is the only setback. Play action. Touchdown. Mark Say.
Greg Robinson not liking how this half ended, but that was really a brilliant play call. I wouldn't be surprised if that was their 2-point play. You know, it sort of looked like they had it all set up. They had Harmon, they had Means working the opposite direction, the bootleg, the misdirection once again. Nice call that time by Ralph Friedgen, the offensive coordinator.
John Carney for the extra point attempt. Has not missed a point after this season and is the NFL's second leading scorer. That's point number 120, and it puts the Chargers in front. So with 1:09 left in the half, Mark Say takes the 2-yard touchdown toss from Stan Humphries, and after trailing through the first 2 periods, the Chargers grab the lead in the final minute.
Just watch the way that everything seems to be going this way, and watch how the defense reacts. That's the key on the misdirection. You get the motion back across the other way. Now here it comes. Everyone, Ronnie Lott coming on a safety blitz up the middle. Jeff Lageman. And boy, does that take some pressure off of Stan Humphries to get it in there. This is a team that has really struggled in the red zone, and it makes life a whole lot easier going in at the half.
14th touchdown pass of the season for Stan Humphries. He's tossed 12 interceptions, and things have not been bright lately for he and the San Diego offense, and you can understand the celebration. Well, coming up shortly, we'll have the NFL Live halftime report, our Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report just across the Hudson River in downtown Manhattan. Mike Ditka, Greg Gumbel, Joe Gibbs, they'll have all the scores and highlights, update you on the playoff picture, and preview the big doubleheader game here on NBC. That's Cleveland and Pittsburgh, the game most of you will see. We'll hear from the Steelers head coach Bill Cowher. All of that coming up at halftime here on NBC.
Yeah, Tom, that touchdown play really was a very interesting little chess match that went on. Greg Robinson guessed run. That's what I guessed too. And he sent both Mo Lewis and Ronnie Lott on blitzes right over the center of the ball. Just so happened that Ralph Friedgen made the right call to roll out the bootleg, and there was no one out there to support.
Carney's kick taken by Glenn at the 5. manages to get a pretty good return out of it. Aaron Glenn across the 30-yard line before he's rustled out of bounds. So Jack Trudeau will be at quarterback for this final 59 seconds of the half.
Pretty good field position for the veteran Jack Trudeau. He's had his opportunities. Boomer missed a ball game earlier this season with an ankle injury, so it's not like he's coming in without any experience whatsoever. A long-time backup with the Colts behind Jeff George. Got opportunities to play there. I think you have to go ahead and show a little confidence in Jack Trudeau here. Just open it up, throw some nice conservative passes, but see if you can't get something going.
He's hit 54% of his passes this season. 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. He will be sacked by Leslie O'Neal back at the 17-yard line. They didn't play it conservatively. They elected to go to the air, but O'Neal made them pay. O'Neal now with 12.5 sacks.
We've been talking about it all day. Jeff Criswell working on the outside against Leslie O'Neal. This time didn't get help to the outside. You see Matt Willick came back late, and it looked like Criswell was expecting help to the outside, or to the inside. There you have the youth, the inexperience of Matt Willick not getting there in time, maybe not realizing the quickness of Leslie O'Neal.
O'Neal did that little swim move to the inside and was by Criswell in a flash. Now they will keep it on the ground. Johnny Johnson back to the 30. Junior Seau the tackle there. A gain of 9 yards as the seconds tick away here in this first half.
And just in case you're wondering why the Chargers don't take a timeout here, they had only 1 remaining, so really no effective way to stop the clock.
Junior Seau, that left arm still dragging with that painful nerve problem in his shoulder, but Bobby Ross and the Chargers will go into the locker room with the lead over Pete.
Perhaps the most important stat is that John Carney kicked an extra point instead of a field goal at the end of that half.
It has to be a concern for the Jets with Boomer Esiason suffering a concussion in the first half, and Jack Trudeau on his first pass attempt being sacked. So the Chargers, after a fairly dismal first half, getting some good news in the final minute. John Carney ready to kick it off for the Chargers. Taken by Aaron Glenn. Tries to get to the outside. Falls down and is covered at the 22-yard line, where the Jets will put the ball in play with Jack Trudeau at quarterback. So ready to start the second half. Tom Hammond and Chris Collinsworth. How does Trudeau at quarterback change the approach for the Jets?
Well, I don't think it does very much at all. Jack Trudeau is a guy that has been fairly conservative in his approach. He's a veteran guy. He knows that in this game plan today, they're going to take the underneath stuff. But from time to time, Jack Trudeau is just going to have to take that football and throw it down the field just so that Charger defense doesn't start to clamp down on the underneath receivers.
Here you see his numbers on the season. And earlier, there was a bit of a quarterback controversy concerning Boomer and Trudeau. Pete Carroll said that the team definitely did not move as well when Trudeau was a quarterback. This pass complete to Rob Moore. He only gained about 3 yards, though, before he was cracked by Dennis Gibson.
You know, and that's one of the things that makes the Boomer Esiason issue so complicated for the Jets organization and for this coaching staff. The games in which Boomer did not play, this Jets offense was nowhere to be found. I mean, they absolutely just shut down. When Boomer came back, they picked it back up. Boomer had good months in October and November. The last couple of games not quite as good, and made some poor plays and some poor throws in the last couple of weeks. But this offense has clearly been better with Boomer Esiason at the quarterback position.
Right now, though, he's back in the locker room after suffering the concussion in the first half. Richie Anderson spun down for a loss by Chris Mims.
I don't know about you, Tom, but Chris Mims is about as entertaining a guy as we've met throughout the course of the season. He draws caricatures of his teammates. If something funny happens in the locker room or someone bangs his head on something, they have a big thing. He'll draw a picture with a guy with a big Band-Aid across his head, and very entertaining guy. He was once thought of being too small, then he got too fat. They sent him to the fat doctor, so now when he gets a sack, he does the fat doctor dance.
It's my favorite move of the season. Here's Richie Anderson out of the backfield, turning a short gain into a first down as he spins his way to the 37-yard line. Great effort by Richie Anderson and by Chris Mims to chase him down with help from Willie Clark. It gained 15 yards, and Pete Carroll told us that Anderson would start trying to give his offense a spark, and he has done that.
Exactly that. This is what Richie Anderson is supposed to do. He is a much better receiving fullback than is Brad Baxter. Baxter's a better blocker, but you can see already what he's done for this offense. Those are 2 plays now, one in the first half, one in the second half, basically a 3 or 4 yard throw that he's turned into first downs.
Boomer Esiason still in the locker room, will not come out unless there is an emergency. There's a flag down as Anderson is stopped for no gain by Junior Seau.
And one of the things we should explain, and look at Junior, he's hurting. Just wonder how much longer he's going to be in this game.
Holding call against the Jets. Jerry Markbright's mic isn't working. And Seau is leaving the game. He'll be replaced by Lewis Bush. Bush is the 2nd round or 4th round choice from Washington State in his 2nd year. And he's back.
Now for Junior, that's considered taking a play off if he gets to walk to the sideline. He's thinking, if I can just make it through this game and they can win, he can actually take a week off perhaps next week against Pittsburgh and get himself ready for the playoffs.
Trudeau trying to set up a screen to Anderson. Didn't work very well. And now the boos. That was a loss of 5. Not Trudeau's fault. It was the fact that Davis and Mims had great penetration, just infiltrated the offensive line blockers, made the play.
Sean Lee kind of ran right by Jack Trudeau on that play, but now you're seeing what happens when you bring a backup quarterback into the game. The defense starts to get a little more confident. The zone defenses start to clamp down a little bit. They're almost daring Jack Trudeau to take that 7-step drop and throw it down the field. Not a bad play here anyway. You're probably not going to get a first down. Go ahead and at least try to back up that defense a little.
Trudeau's pass through the hands of Rob Moore. Pass was a little high, but that's a catch he has to make if he's going to go to the Pro Bowl, and he is. It would have been pretty close to a first down.
And Boomer Esiason tells Rob Moore all the time, you are the go-to guy. You're the one that has to make the key play. 3rd down, I'm throwing it to you. Same thing goes for Jack Trudeau. Unfortunately, if you let enough of them slip through your hands like that, those quarterbacks start trying to find other receivers.
So now it's 3rd and 24. Trudeau will run. Slides down at the 30-yard line, and the Jets will punt.
Crowd doesn't like it, but anytime you get backed up like that, it's 1st down and 20, and you have the holding call. Really, it's the responsibility of the quarterback there not to create a turnover. And the crowd now chanting, Foley, Foley, Foley. He can't play. Unless they disqualify both Boomer Esiason and Jack Trudeau, that's the only time that Glenn Foley could get in the game.
Brian Hansen's punt. Gordon still on his feet. Flag down. Finally, Gordon is too at about the 46-yard line. 42-yard punt. Pretty good return by the AFC's leader in that department. Pending the penalty.
Holding number 34 on the return. 10-yard penalty. First down. Timeout.
Steve Hendrickson guilty of the hold. We'll take a break with the Chargers holding that 1-point lead. Jets on defense. The Chargers leading 7-6. Their first possession of the second half. Humphrey Humphreys with a slant into Mark Say, complete for a gain of 7 or 8 yards, make it 8. James Hasty on the tackle. Say caught the touchdown pass 2 yards from Stan Humphreys. Humphreys, when that commercial break, was warming up on the sideline. That injured thumb and index finger his throwing hand takes a while to get loose, and he was kind of grimacing, wasn't he?
Yeah, you can tell he's hurting, and he's just trying to get through this game as well. Oh, what a break it would be for the Chargers if they could lock up this division and just get a few people healthy.
So the other scores. Especially the last weekend of the regular season. Newton Means close to the first down. Tony Casillas on the tackle.
And if you're looking for a difference in this Chargers offense, in those first 6 weeks of the season, Bobby Ross's club they were opening such big holes that Natron Means literally was not getting touched until he was 2 or 3 yards down the field. Now when you watch them play, the contact is being initiated by the defense right at the line of scrimmage or even in the backfield. That's something that just didn't happen those first 6 games.
Means has carried 15, now 16 times, and is approaching 50 yards on the ground. Marvin Jones tackles him there. We asked several of the players and Coach Bobby Ross if the Chargers could snap out of this funk they're in and return to the form that saw them reel off 6 wins in a row to start the season when assuming they make the playoffs, and they were unanimous in saying yes, that all they needed was a win to sort of set things right. Means waits for a block. It's not there, and he stopped after a gain of a yard.
Tom, I think the biggest difference in looking at this Charger offense today is the fact that they've got their tight end and Dwayne Young and their H-back and Alfred Papunu back. This is a very intricate blocking scheme that they have with the San Diego Chargers. You first saw it with the Washington Redskins. It's the old Joe Gibbs system, and it's very involved in knowing where the tight end is, the H-back, the motion, and how that works. And it's just such a difference when those 2 guys are back in.
It's 3rd and 2. Chargers have converted 4 of 8 third downs. Humphreys pass to Say, complete, close to the first down. I think he has enough. Hasty drove him back, but he just had enough for the first down.
And that time, a good job by Mark Say. He knew he was going to take a shot when he caught that football, but he went ahead and took it up the field 4 yards instead of 3 yards to ensure that he was going to make the first down. Turned around, caught the ball. Hasty gave him a good pop in the back, but he held on.
Chargers drive continues. First down at the 44 of the Jets. It's 7-6 San Diego. A win for the Chargers clinches them the title in the AFC West. Humphreys down the sideline as a man wide open, and it will be a touchdown to Tony Martin. 44 yards. Martin with his 6th touchdown catch of the season.
Tony Martin, who once compared himself to Jerry Rice, and you can see Aaron Glenn, the rookie who's been doing a good job all day. He's the one that got burned on that one. But a lot of people scoffed at Tony Martin when he compared himself to Jerry Rice, said he could be that good. Then last week in the game against the 49ers, had tremendous numbers, 9 catches, 172 yards. Comes right back here this afternoon with the play of the game so far.
Former college quarterback takes it 44 yards for the score, and now Carney for the extra point. Gail Gilbert, who holds, sort of mishandled the snap, but got it placed down in time. Humphreys to Martin. The big play puts the Chargers up 14-6. Yeah. For the Jets, Aaron Glenn. Away from 1 man, from 2, but not the 3rd. Dragged down at the 12-yard line after only a 3-yard return. So Stan Humphreys with a touchdown pass puts his team up 14-6. We'll be back. San Diego, that's Aaron Glenn, number 31, who was beaten on the touchdown catch by Tony Martin. We'll show you a replay in a moment, and it looked like Glenn was expecting help and didn't get it. First, we'll take a look at Jack Trudeau with his first down play deep in his own territory. pass across the middle, caught by Johnny Mitchell. Second reception of the game. Spun down at the 22-yard line after a gain of 7. Let's go back to that touchdown pass, Humphreys to Martin.
You can just tell by Aaron Glenn's casual approach to this release and the way he's playing the outside shoulder, allowing Tony Martin to go inside, that he's expecting deep safety help from Ronnie Lott. See him, he's pointing over there at Ronnie Lott like, Ronnie, where are you here? You've got to come over and help. Stan Humphreys really made the play, though, by looking Ronnie Lott down the middle, kept staring down the middle, and then threw it late to the outside. And you could tell Ronnie Lott's upset with himself.
Johnny Johnson thrown for a loss by Leslie O'Neal. O'Neal has made several big plays today. Has a sack and some good play against the run.
And boy, he has really picked up his game. 11.5 sacks coming into this game. I had another one. Trails only Kevin Green in the AFC, who has 14. But you've had a good indication of why this guy is a perennial Pro Bowler. Just the pure speed alone. Not an overly big guy. Only weighs about 265 pounds. But just so hard for those big 300-pound tackles to get their hands on him.
Will be in the Pro Bowl for the 5th time in his 9-year career. Play blown dead. Might be a Jets false start.
A couple of guys jumping there. One of them looked like Jeff Criswell, who needs all the help that he can get coming off the ball.
False start, number 67, offense. Prior to the snap, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's the road grader, Dwayne White, all 315 pounds, and when he flinches, it's hard to stop.
Get that momentum going in one direction. Right now, though, the Jets desperately needing to get something going offensively. They've had it in reverse here in the last couple of series without Boomer Esiason.
Trudeau hits Rob Moore, made a good catch, but he had to reach down so low to make the catch. He stumbled to the turf and was covered by Darren Carrington, and the punt team will come on.
Jeff Criswell really upset after this play. He's working against Leslie O'Neal. Again, the double team coming from within. And I guess Criswell claiming that was a late hit, but you have to put that one on Jack Trudeau. The ball was thrown poorly. It was thrown low, not giving Rob Moore a chance to pick up the first down. He had plenty of room if it was a better throw.
Brian Hansen to punt. Gordon eyes it and calls for a fair catch at the 40. Great field position for the Chargers when we return to Giants Stadium with just under 5 minutes left. Offense has sputtered in the absence of the injured Boomer Esiason. The fans continue to call for number 14, the rookie Glenn Foley, but again, he can't play unless Trudeau would be injured.
Exactly, because that's the new rule in the National Football League. They put it in a couple of years ago that the 3rd-string quarterback cannot play unless you disqualify both of your 1st and 2nd-string quarterbacks.
Foley had that remarkable career as Natron Means carries for about 6. At Boston College, we did, I guess, his highlight as Natron limps off. Foley's highlight when he engineered that great upset win over Notre Dame and South Bend last season, which cost the Irish the national championship. Well, Means, for the 2nd time in the game, limps to the sideline. He has carried 18 times for 56 yards. Humphreys going deep again down the sideline. This one overshoots the mark. Mark Say was down the sideline. Obviously, they got tangled up, and the penalty flag is down.
And Tom, I think this is a good call. Aaron Glenn using one of the, the oldest moves in the book for a defensive back. They run out in front of the receiver, then sort of slow down and just cut off his path down the field.
Pass interference, number 31, defense. 1st down, automatic 1st down.
Now, if Aaron Glenn's a little more subtle with this move, he gets away with it. But watch him as he gets position now and gets his head around. He's going to act like he doesn't know where he is and just sort of work his way in front. But that's too much. You have to be much more subtle with that move, and then the officials let you get away with it. There's a rookie mistake, one he'll learn from.
Now, hold it. There's no receiver bias bias involved in that analysis, is there?
Absolutely.
Somehow not surprised by that. Bieniemy stumbling forward for a gain of 2 or 3 yards. Meanwhile, last time we saw the Buffalo-New England game was tied. Let's go to Greg Gumbel for the latest. Greg?
Lots has happened since then, Tom. In the third quarter, Ricky Reynolds returned a fumble 24 yards for a touchdown. And now Drew Bledsoe, his third TD pass of the day, his second to Vincent Brisby. 28 unanswered points by the Patriots. They lead Buffalo 31-17.
That was quite an understatement. A lot has happened in Drew Bledsoe. Here's Natron Means, dodging, dashing, gets to the sideline and then out of bounds after picking up a first down. He's all the way to the 13-yard line. Means and the Chargers bidding to put this one away.
And Tom, just a quick note about the New England Patriots. They're a team now that, because of their defensive improvement. Remember we saw them early in the season, and they were awful. They were giving up 38, 40 points a game. Their offense was playing well, but now all of a sudden, their defense playing better, their running game getting it going, starting to look a lot more like Bill Parcells type of football. That's a team that...
I wouldn't want to play into the playoffs.
Boy, I tell you what, they are red hot right now.
Means hit by his own man, fumbles the football. And the Jets have it. Donald Evans made the play for the defense.
And Ronnie Lott just made a phenomenal football play to keep the New York Jets in this game. Watch Ronnie Lott coming from the outside of your screen. He's going to come in and break up not only the lead blocker, but get his hands on the lead back, threw him off balance, and that led to the fumble by Natron Means. Coming right at your picture now. He takes out the lead blocker, and that's what made Natron Means lose the football. Ronnie Lott made the big mistake on the play before, comes right back and makes up for it here.
Second fumble by Means, second recovery by Evans. Johnny Johnson. 5 yards to the 20, actually the 19.
Very unusual to see any San Diego back fumble the football. They've done a tremendous job holding on to it this season.
They're plus 10 in the turnover ratio, which is second in the AFC.
Really, both these teams do a great job of it. You can see there that the Jets also hold on to the football, but that puts the Jets right back in this game.
Play action pass. Jack Trudeau with time. Now it breaks down, and he is tackled at about the 17-yard line by Reggie White. There's Reggie White, number 90. Not the Reggie White, but the 6th-round draft choice out of North Carolina A&T, who is saddled with the name of a defensive lineman who's maybe the greatest ever. One of them, anyway.
Like a comedian named Bob Hope, huh? And the crowd, again, picking up that chant. Foley, Foley.
Trudeau steps up, and he'll run. Lowers his head this time and manages to get to the 27-yard line. That is a first down. So give Trudeau credit for a heads-up play as he scrambles for 9 yards and a first.
Jack Trudeau heard those chants as well for Foley, Foley. So here he is, takes off. If he hook slides here, does not get the first down, but by diving head first, picks it up.
Forward, too, he didn't slide.
Clock inside 2 minutes. Remaining third quarter. Screen pass. Anderson got blocked. What was that? He's close to the first down.
Well, he's not going to make you forget Walter Payton, that's for sure. Looked like one of the Rockettes that I saw this past week.
Pete Carroll said, no, this spot is not good.
But the Jets do have a little drive working here again, and Richie Anderson has provided the spark that they were looking for. Pete Carroll said that we just don't have enough playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, and he thinks that Richie Anderson might just provide that, and at least so far he has.
He's made the right calls in that department. Here's Morrell. Bouncing off people. Was that Art Monk that got in there? David Griggs makes the tackle.
Yeah, Art Monk missed the tackle there on Adrian Morrell.
He's fired up.
Morrell, another one of those guys they thought could provide a spark. So now you see Richie Anderson and Adrian Morrell, two bigger play guys. There's Art Monk with a good shot, but he missed the tackle.
Art Monk at 37 years old. I'm too old for this.
That's a pretty good shot, though, really.
Telling us never dreamed that he would even be able to play on this level or even in college, much less set as many records as he has. Moore misses another one right through his hands.
Well, Leslie O'Neal and Jeff Criswell, this belongs on WWF now. These guys are just going, they're holding and clawing and face masking and grabbing that big elbow pad, and those two veterans have been going at it hot and heavy today.
It's kind of like one of those hockey fights. So just everybody get out of the way, let them go at it. Don't call anything, just let them go.
Don't take your helmet off.
Trudeau has hit 6 of 8 passes, 39 yards since replacing Boomer Esiason. O'Neal bearing down on him. He got rid of it. Then the ball knocked loose from Art Monk and recovered by the Chargers. Will it be ruled a catch and a fumble? Yes. San Diego ball.
Oh, this is close. I don't think Pete Carroll can believe it. That hit came almost instantaneously.
Stanley Richard, the sheriff, called in the law on Art Monk. And it was Big Sean Lee that recovered.
Stanley Richard with a perfectly timed hit. See if Art Monk gets 2 feet down. Right there, I think it's a good call. Right, perfectly timed by Stanley Richard. Great hit.
A startling development. After Chris Collinsworth's expert analysis of the call being good, it was ruled an incomplete pass.
I can always count on you. Watch Art Monk. No question the feet get down, but was he bobbling the football? You see it coming loose just a second there before Stanley Richard made the hit.
So now you're saying that's a good call.
It's a good call. Well, the other one was a good call. And Bobby Ross wants a big piece of this officiating crew.
But the figures.
Jerry Markwright.
He's ruling what possession or not. Of course, Stanley Richard made the hit. We were talking to him earlier in the season and saying it's like stealing second base. You get a jump on the quarterback.
Yeah, I think what Bobby Ross is arguing is that one of the officials motioned his arms down in the motion of a completed catch. In other words, you know, the signal that where you say it's a completed catch, one of the officials signaled that.
Well, we'll think about it some more while we take another break. That call, but you see what a tough call it was. One of our replays made it look one way, another showed it another way. That's what the officials had to decide. Here's Jack Trudeau being chased, got away, and now ducks his head and falls to the turf for a loss of a couple yards, and that'll be 4th down in a punting situation with 1 second left in the quarter.
But Tom, a major difference between that turnover and a punt. Now at least they back up the Chargers.
The end of the 3rd quarter.
So the 3rd quarter comes to an end with the Chargers leading the Jets 14-6. Back as director Larry Cavallina, Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth at Giant Stadium ready to start the 4th quarter, where the Chargers have scored 14 unanswered points, lead 14-6 over the Jets. Brian Hansen to punt for New York. Gordon calls for a fair catch and lets it bounce. And it goes out about the 20-yard line. Well, this is doubleheader week, of course, and one of the biggest games of the season comes from Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh as those two old rivals, the Steelers and the Browns, get together to decide the AFC Central. Most of you will see that game. Some will see the Kansas City Chiefs in a must-win against the Houston Oilers as Joe Montana returns at quarterback. That's coming up on most of these stations. Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. Who do you like, Cleveland, Pittsburgh?
I like Pittsburgh just because they're at home. Real home field advantage between those two teams.
Cleveland's playing well now, though. That should be a great game. Eric Bieniemy. Not much. Tony Casillas stacked it up right in the middle. Casillas, one of those veteran players brought in here to help the Jets win now, and his status for next season very much in doubt.
And he really talks about the attitude. Of course, playing with the Dallas Cowboys and that championship attitude that they had. He said with this football team, the big thing is you just have to find a belief, an inner belief that you guys are going to be able to win a championship. 1970, the merger, haven't been able to win a divisional title in the AFC East.
Flags down. Pass caught by Jefferson. Rides his way to the 35-yard line and a first down. Washington and Glenn finally wrestling to the turf. And it'll be interesting to see if that was a offside penalty on New York or whether the Chargers moved prematurely.
Offside. Number 57. Defense. Penalties declined. First down.
Lewis was offside, so it stands as a 14-yard gain.
Tom, is it just my imagination, or have you been hearing a whistle coming from the stands today? And that time it may have actually worked against the Jets. Someone in the crowd blew a whistle. The Jets seemed to relax on the play, and that allowed the Chargers to pick up that easy first down.
I don't know if the fans at home can hear it, but I heard it several times, and it looked to see what why the play was being stopped, and there was no stoppage. Casillas wrestles down Bieniemy.
Seems almost just before every single snap of the ball, whoever it is, whoever this idiot is in the stand that has this whistle is blowing it, and you assume that he's a fan of the New York Jets. We come to the line of scrimmage here. Let's see if we can hear it.
All right.
That's not it.
Wouldn't you know, they didn't blow it that time. Wow, dangerous pass from Humphreys. He threw it right into double coverage, intended for Dwayne Young. And Mo Lewis batted it down.
Marvin Jones, who was shaken up earlier in the game, coming back, and here between Marvin Jones gets the lick in, and Mo Lewis knocks the ball away. That's about as well played as you can get out of your inside linebackers. But when they talk about Marvin Jones, a lot like Mo Lewis, just so fast and quick and athletic. If he can ever stay healthy, he'll be a great linebacker.
3rd and 9 for the Chargers, leading 14-6. Humphreys delivers to Harmon, the 3rd down specialist, who has a first down. His first catch of the day. It goes for 13 yards. And Ronnie Harmon does what he does best. That is the 33rd time this season he's taken a reception for a first down.
And he is the leading receiver on this Chargers team. He got matched up one-on-one against Mo Lewis there.
Bayside High School out on Long Island. There is homecoming today for Ronnie Harmon, and his first down catches this season match his number.
Got a nice little warm reception from some of his former friends. You could see him talking down there on the field before the ball game today.
So a local guy was made good. Went off to Iowa to play his college football and has become a valuable member of the offense of the Chargers. Mo Lewis tackling Means, short gain.
And now the Jets are going into their 8-man front. You saw that time Ronnie Lott came running into your screen late. They're trying to disguise it, but now the Jets trying to take away Natron Means and the running game of the Chargers. They're moving up into that 8-man front. So Friedgen comes right back here and gets out of the 2-back set, goes to the 3 wide receivers to try and keep Ronnie out of there.
Humphreys in trouble. Papunu caught it. It'll be a loss on the play back to the 45-yard line. About a 5-yard loss. Paul Fraze tackled Papunu.
One of those plays where you needed a drop, and Papunu's hurting again. He's been out for the past 4 weeks. Just the injuries just continue to mount up for this Charger football team. He was really just blocking on the play, did a nice job once his man got away, just getting his head around, and it could have been worse.
Jets need to stop this third down play now if they have hopes of tying the game up. Humphrey's toss will be short of the first down and incomplete anyway. Jefferson made a diving attempt, covered by James Hasty, and San Diego will punt. Let's see who the Jet player is shaking up. I think it's Hasty. It is James Hasty.
It's a tough time of year, Tom. I mean, you've been playing, you count the preseason games and all the games, now 18 total games so far, and everybody has something that's hurting.
Punt by Wagner. Hicks fakes the catch, and the ball just dies at the 1-yard line and is covered there. Great job by Coleman, Andre Coleman, a 53-yard punt that has the Jets all the way back to the 2. Great coverage by Coleman, who got down under the punt.
Don't know exactly what the discussion's about.
There's a little meeting taking place at about the 2. Here's Jerry Markwright.
The ball was illegally touched by number 83 of the kicking team. The penalty is 5 yards from the previous spot of the kick and re-kick.
Tom, my guess is that they ran him out of bounds. If, in fact, Andre Coleman was run out of bounds on the play, he is not eligible to come back in and down the football. Because otherwise, if he had run into the end zone and back out, it simply would have been a touchback.
Touch the kick.
Good call, Chris.
There you have it.
Jerry Markwright saying, I don't know if you could hear it at home or not, but that he was out of bounds, came back in, and then was the first to touch the ball. So back the Chargers up an additional 5 yards. And Wagner not too happy about this turn of events. Will once again send it toward Clifford Hicks.
What a great break for the Jets. Boy, you have to start that offense on the 2-yard line. Awfully tough. And now all of a sudden looks like the Chargers
don't have their
real
punt
state
team
of
out
panic.
there.
They have to burn a timeout.
Play clock is to 4, and they have to take a timeout.
Boy, is that sloppy.
Chaos reigns at Giant Stadium. Skies over Giant Stadium today, but storm clouds gathering for the Jets. A loss eliminates them from the playoffs. This ball out of bounds at the 30, which would be a net gain of 28 yards for the Jets, but there is another penalty marker. This will be against New York. Can't stand prosperity.
And for Pete Carroll, a tough time. His quarterback is gone. Boomer Esiason never left the locker room for the second half.
Holding number 27 receiving team while the kick was in the air. A post-possession foul. 10 yards, first down.
Pat Terrell on the hold. See the other scores. Still a little shocked at the way the Patriots have taken control of the Bills after trailing early. So with 11:02 left and trailing by 8, the Jets take over with a first down at their own 20. That's still an improvement after the illegal touch by the Chargers. They would have been back at their 2, so much better shape. Let's see what they can do with it.
Tom, this is the time now for this San Diego defense. They need to make it happen. Their offense has finally given them a couple of touchdowns. This offense has given up over 800 yards in their last 2 games. Much maligned. Bobby Ross was very critical of them yesterday. Said these are the guys that have to get it done. Our offense is a bunch of blue-collar guys. We tell them not to make any mistakes. Just make sure you shut them down. You can see one of the very best teams against the run.
Jack Trudeau behind Anderson, the intended receiver. It was tipped at the line of scrimmage. Might have been Leslie O'Neal that got a hand on it.
Leslie O'Neal, Reggie White working right up the middle, and looked like maybe it was Reggie White that got a little piece of it. Big third down play now. The Chargers want to clinch this division. They need to wrap this thing up, take a little time, get their people healthy. Big third down play right here.
Jets converting at a 30% clip, and third and long. Morrell's in the backfield with Anderson. It's Anderson in motion. Quick toss to Morrell on a screen. He has a block. And then is tackled at the 30, about a yard short of the first down. Stanley Richard made a great open field tackle to prevent the first down.
And that just really was not very good running on the part of Adrian Morrell. Tried to make a move there, needed to realize what he needed for the first down. Matt Willig out in front threw a huge block, but then Stanley Richard weaved his way through there and made yet another fine play. Boy, was he much maligned the last couple of years for this San Diego team, but this season he has really found himself. Got to credit Willie Shaw, the new defensive backfield coach, for turning his career around.
And a whole new approach for that secondary, and they talk so much about stealing second, how you play the quarterback and you make it similar to base running in your approach in the defensive backfield. Here's the great play. It prevented a first down, and the Chargers will have the ball.
You're watching the Coors Light channel.
Left in the game, and if the Jets lose, they're eliminated from the playoffs.
Adrian Morrell getting his opportunity to prove himself here today, taking over for Johnny Johnson. But when you get in this situation, the chain is right out there to his right. All he had to do was put his head down, pick up the first down. The drive's alive. That is very poor running on the part of Adrian Morrell.
Now hand the ball to Nathan Means and hope he can work the clock and salt away that AFC West title for the Chargers. Donald Evans stops him there after a short gain. Evans has had a good game today.
Yeah, he really has, and he's a guy that just does it almost purely on hustle alone. We were talking to Courtney Hall, the center of the Chargers, yesterday, and he said he just never gives up. He keeps running, keeps working hard. Told us earlier this season he actually was away from football for a year, worked on a loading dock. He said football is not reality. Working on a loading dock, that's reality. That's when you find out about yourself.
I was really touched by his story, which I mentioned earlier, growing up the youngest of 16 kids in Raleigh, North Carolina. He has a twin brother, one of 3 sets of twins in those 16 kids, and all raised by their mom at great problems through his youth. He said psychologically not much problem, except that because you didn't have the clothes and stuff, your self-esteem was sometimes low, but he thanked his mom for putting him on the right course, and she passed away just 4 days after he was drafted. He was never able to show her in a material way how much she would mean. Humphries just throws it away in the teeth of a New York blitz, and that'll bring up a punting situation for the Chargers, so the Jets are still alive.
Good call that time by Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator. That time Ronnie Lotz came on a safety blitz, and I'll bet you Greg Robinson is claiming that somebody over there was held, because really the Chargers did a pretty decent job picking it up. Credit the secondary, though, for maintaining their coverage. But the Jets have another chance.
Wagner's punt to Hicks. Backpedals to the 17. Got away from the initial group of tacklers. Esiason suffering a concussion late in the first half, replaced by Jack Trudeau, who's been unable to get any points on the board. He's hit 7 of 11, 47 yards. Fumbled by Trudeau. He got it back.
I think even the empty seats booing on that one.
And the Foley chant goes up again, calling for the rookie, who can only play in an emergency.
I guess the question in a lot of these Jets fans why wasn't Glenn Foley made the second-team quarterback? It's a designation. I guarantee you that guy's asking the question. It's a designation that you can make before the game. Pete Carroll just didn't feel like Glenn Foley had enough practice time, enough snaps to really give him a fair opportunity. He may get a look next week, though.
He said he would be throwing into the wolves. Now, the Jets lose this game, maybe you will see him next week. Meanwhile, Trudeau hits Johnny Mitchell for a gain of 13 and a first down.
And I think for Jack Trudeau, this is a big moment in his career. He needs to do something here to prove his place on this football team. I don't think there's any question that Dick Steinberg, if he's here next year, the general manager, is going to want to make some changes on this team. One of the positions that he has to study, the quarterback position. We talked about the Boomer Esiason situation, but also Glenn Foley now pressing Jack Trudeau.
Looking at Trudeau, who drops, tosses a screen to Anderson. Richie Anderson makes a couple of nice cuts, twisting and turning to the 44-yard line of the Chargers. First down, New York. Let's go to Greg Gumbel now for another update on the Bills and Patriots.
Well, not really, Tom, but this reminder to coming up at 4 o'clock. Many of you will see a doubleheader game, the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and two of the best punt returners in football. Eric Metcalf of the Browns, who are looking for a share of the lead in the AFC Central. Rod Woodson and some of his Steeler teammates. Kickoff is about 25 minutes from now. Many of you will see that game or one of these games coming up on NBC. Tom?
All right, Greg, sorry. But that was a good reminder of the games coming up. And last season, Chris, we were privileged to be at Cleveland for one of the great matchups in many between the Browns and the Steelers when Eric Metcalf returned 2 punts for touchdowns, one of them of 90-some yards and one of 70-some yards, including the game winner.
Yeah, I thought that was perhaps the most exciting professional game that I ever had a chance to watch. Eric Metcalf, just an amazing talent.
Most of you will see the Browns and the Steelers from Three Rivers coming up as the second game of our doubleheader. Trudeau. His arm was in motion, incomplete pass. Thought that was a good call.
Chris Mims made the hit, but it really looked like that Jack Trudeau tried to hold on to the football after his throwing motion. He's going to step up. You see Mims bearing down on him. Now watch, he makes the throw and just tries to hold on to it almost, but spikes it right into the ground, and really the best play that Jack Trudeau could have made, just to dump it right in the ground.
Perfect. There's big Chris Mims, who has a beat on Trudeau.
Another big third down play. Richie Anderson has been the guy so far.
5:21 left. Trudeau hit as he released it. The intended receiver, Art Monk, was decked as well, but no flags.
And Pete Carroll can't believe it. He's jumping up and down on the sideline. Art Monk and Dwayne Harper got tied up. And Dwayne Harper appeared anyway to trip Art Monk, but there was no call. Pressure being brought. But the play down the field, and now Pete Carroll trying to at least get the referee to look up at the replay board and take a look at exactly what happened. Obviously now with instant replay can't do that, but the officials huddling in the middle of the field, that's a big, big no call in this ball game.
They set the game clock to 5:17. That was an incompleted pass. 5 minutes, 17 seconds.
Clock operator even got a little excited.
Now it's going to force the Jets into going here on 4th down. To be honest, I'm not sure I do this. A lot of time left in this one to go for it here on 4th down. You could have a chance to really pin back the Chargers.
5:17 left. It's 4th and 6. Trudeau to nobody. Should have been intercepted, but it doesn't matter. They'll get it back up further upfield anyway. Stanley Richard had a clear shot at it, but since it was a 4th down play, the Chargers will take over at the 40, the line of scrimmage. What about the call? You questioned it early, now doubly so.
Well, now instead of having the ball after the punt, backed up maybe at the 10, 5-yard line, something like that. Now you've given the Chargers plenty of field position and really made their job a whole lot easier as those people look for
They'll work the clock with Natron Means. Check that. They'll pass. Deep. Martin. Touchdown.
How about that for a little conservative call by Ralph Friedgen? Everybody in the house looking for a run by Natron Means. Ronnie Lott up at the line of scrimmage in an 8-man front, one-on-one coverage, and here you go. You're not going to run with Tony Martin. Right down the field. A couple of weeks ago, he dropped a couple of passes against the Rams, but today he has been spectacular.
2 long touchdown receptions. That one went for 60 yards and ended the dim playoff hopes of Pete Carroll and the Jets.
And that play will lock it up for the San Diego Chargers. For the second time in 3 years, they will win the AFC Western Division crown.
Barney's extra point is through. So Humphreys with a strike to Martin. No conservative play calling here, and the Chargers are on their way to a division title.
That guy's got a regular gig with the Jets here in December.
He's blowing taps for Pete Carroll and the Jets, who have another late season swoon.
Wow. Has December been a disaster for this football organization? Team that just cannot ever get it done in the clutch.
Barney's kick. Aaron Glenn from the 15. Upended. The helmet comes off. 11-yard return, but that was Lewis Bush that made the special teams tackle. Well, 20 years ago, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Steel Curtain began their reign of terror in the National Football League. These were great years for the Pittsburgh franchise. For the Cleveland Browns, a proud tradition of Paul Brown and Jim Brown. It's been 30 years without a title. Today, the Steelers again have a fierce defense and a fiery coach. And in Cleveland, the Browns have given their fans hope. Maybe this will be the season's. Coming up next, game 2 of our doubleheader. Most of you will see the Browns at 10-4, fresh from their upset of the Cowboys against the Steelers, 11-3 for the AFC Central crown. Some of you will see Houston against Joe Montana and the Chiefs. Check your local listings. Great doubleheader week here on NBC. Of about 12 yards to Adrian Morrell. Well, we said the late season woes of the Jets continue.
The month of December and even into January has just been a disaster. Even the year that they went to the playoffs, they still lost 4 of their last 5 ball games. But you go right down the list with this football team. They have not been able to get it done when they had to. That's the reason they don't have any divisional titles since the merger took place in 1970.
Today, of course, #1 quarterback Boomer Esiason knocked out of the game with a concussion late in the first half. And that last touchdown, 60 yards from Humphreys to Martin, broke the back of the Jets, who will be mathematically eliminated. Now, what do you do next week? Last game of the season, playing at Houston, a team that's won only 1 game. Do you take a look at some guys that maybe will help you next year?
Absolutely. I play Glenn Foley at quarterback next week. Got Boomer Esiason coming off of a concussion anyway. You already have a pretty good feel for what Jack Trudeau could do. Throw him in there, give him a full week of practice, give him a shot. It's a game with absolutely no playoff implications whatsoever. Basically, the first exhibition game of next year.
Don't hit as he let that one go.
But Tom, I think that, well, maybe we'll see Glenn Foley sooner than we expected. But I think this Jets team has to take a look at how they're just put together. This is a team, now this is a nice day in the Meadowlands, but typically in December, You have to be able to run the football. You look at the Giants and the way they've put that team together over the years. It's always a great defense, a solid running game, a power running game. You can't depend on the passing game in this stadium in December to carry you through. This has always been a much more of a finesse kind of a team than the Giants, their counterparts. You look around that division, the Buffalo Bills, the New England Patriots, all those stadiums, you have to be able to get the job done in December with power football.
Trudeau heaves it downfield where Rob Moore goes up, and it falls incomplete. Greg Gumbel, what do we got coming up next?
All right, Tom, for many in your viewing audience, doubleheader action here on NBC. The Browns and the Steelers standing by at Three Rivers Stadium. There's Vinny Testaverde looking to lead the Browns to their 11th win of the year. On the other side of the field, Neil O'Donnell hopes he can get the Steelers to win number 12. Steelers and the Browns are one of these games coming up next.
All right, Greg, and Chris, you were talking about the team needs to be really rebuilt to fit the conditions they play in. That's something the Cleveland Browns have done.
Yeah, and Bill Belichick really took a lot of heat for it, for making the decision to go that way, and Jack Trudeau's in big trouble again.
Sacked by Reggie White, who does his dance.
Now, I never saw the other Reggie White doing
Even
that.
Jerry Markwright's helping Trudeau. That's come down to sympathy from the officials.
But when you look at what Bill Belichick did, he took so much heat up there and, of course, made Vinny Testaverde his quarterback, made a lot of changes, but he wanted to pattern that team after the Giants teams of the 86 and the 90 Giants teams with the great defense, the solid running game. He made Eric Metcalf a little bit less a part of that offense, put Leroy Horde in there, and they've lost some people as well. Tommy Vardell has been out the season. They've been moving people in and out of that offensive line, but I think the Browns organization, a pretty good model for what this Jets team should be looking to do next year.
Hunt goes into the end zone for a touchback. And a bit of a changing of the guard in the AFC. There's a penalty marker down, penalty marker on the play. Bit of a changing of the guard in the AFC with Buffalo losing to New England today.
Yeah, absolutely. That does it now for the Buffalo Bills, apparently. And who would have thought that Bill Parcells in that short period of time could have turned around that franchise? Even earlier this year, they looked like they were finished. Now going on that extended winning streak, what is that? I think 6 in a row now that they've won. And they may now well be the team to beat in the AFC.
I don't imagine you'll find many volunteers wanting to play them. As you said earlier, the running game has improved, the defense has improved, and the passing game's been there all season.
Holding number 90, receiving team. While the kick was in the air, a post-possession foul, penalized from the 20 to the 10-yard line, first down.
That's Reggie White. He was still celebrating that sack. They penalized him for a bad dance, I think.
Yeah, you know, Tom, but I think for the Cleveland Browns, that game last week against the Dallas Cowboys may well have elevated their confidence to another level. The knock on the Cleveland Browns had always been that they really hadn't played anybody. They'd never had a big win, especially a big win on the road. You go down, you knock off the world champions. I know Novacek slipped on the 1-yard line, and it was a tight game. But to knock off the world champions has to give them a tremendous lift now having to go into Pittsburgh for this big game.
Gail Gilbert now at quarterback for the Chargers, giving Stan Humphries a little time off, and Rodney Culver, a new face in the backfield, gets that carry. Tackled by Mo Lewis.
And let's give Bobby Ross and this San Diego Chargers team some credit. Here's a bunch that suffered so many key injuries. Stan Humphries with that elbow, and Natron Means with the knee, Courtney Hall with the elbow, Joe Kokozo out of this game. But Bobby Ross, and the way that he approaches things, was able to keep them together. We were talking about this a little bit last night, that if you had a coach that in this situation where it appears that everything was about to fall apart, this may be the guy you want to head the ship, because he has a very even demeanor about him. You could tell in talking to him last night, he really hadn't lost any confidence in this football team. He expected his defense to come out big today, and that's exactly what they've done.
He said there's no panic around here, and one win will set us back on the right course. And before the season started, people were picking the Raiders, people were picking the Chiefs, people were picking the Broncos. everyone except San Diego. They shocked the football world by reeling off 6 straight wins, fell on a few hard times, but I think showing the depth of their character and commitment to come back from those hard times and now get the win they needed to clinch, get some rest, to get all banged up players perhaps, at least on the road toward being well, and could be a force in the playoffs.
Yeah, Bill Arnsparger doing a nice job with that defense as the Jets now forced to look to next year once again. And the Rangers, 1954 was the chant. It almost seems now for the Jets that they're going to have to live with that 1970 chant and curse for a while. Handing to Culver.
His way to the 20. Could be a first down. Looks like it is. I was thinking of Junior Seau yesterday saying a win is the best aspirin there is, and everybody will feel better. All those nagging injuries won't seem as bothersome with one of those W's up on the board after losing 2 in a row and 5 of 8.
Yep. What do you say? You feel better, your wife gets prettier, all those things happen.
It's Christmas when you win, no matter what time of year.
But now the best news for the Chargers perhaps is the fact that Junior Seau will get some time off, and he should be back 100% by the time they get into the playoffs.
Maybe not 100 with that nerve problem, which is difficult to heal, but certainly closer. Over again. As we come to the 2-minute timeout. Well, it looks like New York will stop the clock before the 2-minute warning at 2:04. And Junior, well, he was true to his word. I haven't seen him smile like that in several weeks.
Well, he does feel good, and you have to give him credit. You could tell by watching the first half, first 3 quarters of this game, that he was just out there basically playing with one arm. He could not do anything with the left side of his body. He told us yesterday, he said, generally when I make a tackle, I just explode through the guy. I don't even think about anything. Just explode through the guy. He said, now I'm finding myself thinking too much out there. I try to square my body so I don't have to hit with that left side. But he's a guy that'll hang in there. He's a gamer.
Well, if anyone ever doubted his courage, he has certainly put any of those thoughts to rest with his performance fighting through the pain of the last few games. I mean, I can imagine a worse injury than a nerve problem in your shoulder for a linebacker.
Yeah, I just hope he doesn't continue to hit and to lead with that head the way that he was. We saw in the first half. I know that shoulder's hurting him, but you just open yourself up to so many other injuries. On the other side, I think now that the Jets, you've got to look at their quarterback situation. Once again now, when the backup quarterback has come in, when Boomer Esiason left the game, they have not been able to do anything offensively. Now, whether or not they feel they have to go outside the organization, that's a decision that Dick Steinberg has to make. But clearly this team is better with Boomer Esiason at the helm, and clearly better.
Go, Roger, get out.
This Culver run will take us to the 2-minute warning. Banged out of bounds after picking up the first down. He's to the 46-yard line. Pat Terrell is the man that... Now, wait a minute. That's only 1 second off the clock?
That was the fastest run I've ever seen.
No, they moved it to 2:08, David Michaels tells us, and so that was why. So 2:03, and we still haven't gotten to the 2-minute timeout. Well, so if you're Pete Carroll, do you go to the free agent market for a quarterback if you're going to replace Boomer? Do you bring Boomer back? Do you see Glenn Foley as your quarterback of the future? Hard to gauge that since he hasn't played all year.
Yeah, I think that people just love backup quarterbacks in general, if you know what I mean. It's always easy to love someone that you haven't seen.
Now what?
Saying that Steeler-Browns game comes on in just a couple of minutes.
Check your watch. Yeah, it's just about 5 minutes. See that? Yeah, the Browns and Steelers, yeah.
Got this watch deal.
2-minute warning. Please set the clock at 9:58.
The problem was they bought one of those watches over on 5th Avenue. That was that guy that had those nice looking watches for $5.
You mean there's something wrong with those things? Oh no.
From any chance of the playoffs, slim as they were. Rodney Culver to the field. And now the employee owners of Avis will salute our game MVP, Tony Martin of the San Diego Chargers, who had 2 long touchdown receptions, including this 60-yarder from Stan Humphries that put the game away. Tony Martin is the winner of today's We Try Harder award. Beat James Hasty on this play and waltzed into the end zone. Avis, the official rental company of the NFL.
Having a little fun on that one. Nice to be a part of the play that clinches the division for your football team.
116 yards on only 3 catches, but 2 of them for scores, giving him on the season 7 touchdown catches.
And a good year for him. Picked up the slack. A lot of controversy when they let Anthony Miller go, but they've had guys that have made plays. They sort of alternated throughout the year, but between the big 3, they've made the plays.
Culver breaks free. Oh, look at that vicious stiff arm, and then Terrell makes him pay for it with a bulldog down to the turf. There's a penalty marker. He might have used the face mask. That was a mano a mano.
That's what happens. You sit over on that bench long enough, you get in the game, you get a little excited. Want to hit somebody.
Personal foul, face mask, number 15, 27, defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
27 is who he meant, Terrell.
Big stiff arm on the end of this play by Rodney Culver, and he really just sort of gets lost with all the good backs they have here, but that's a bench press. Boom. And then Terrell picking up, grabbing hold of that face mask.
Culver with mop-up duties is carried for 58 yards here. Now they're going to just take a knee. And the formalities will end, and the game will be over, and everyone can get home to watch the second game of the doubleheader.
Tom, one final point is they're getting the bucket ready. They're getting the bucket ready. We just saw Bill Parcells get doused by Drew Bledsoe and the boys. Here it goes. Now you got Darian Gordon.
Backs.
Now the DB's always nasty kind of guys. Darren Carrington. They got to sneak up behind. They can't tip it off. That's the key. You got to clear out the ball boy there.
Whoa!
Wow!
It caught in his head.
He got a goldfish in his back.
He made the wrong move, he dumped it on himself. That's one of the best ones I've seen. That hood filled up.
They got the double dip on it. Not only did they get him the first time, but then when they got it, and then they do a little bit of the Pat dance over there, the Pat Doctor dance, and that's Chris Mims on one side and Reggie White.
Reggie's still working on his. That's the one that got penalized earlier.
Do it like that. They say, yeah. And Bobby Ross not dancing. He danced pretty good though a minute ago, too.
That iceman down his back, he did a little dance of his own. Don't forget, second game of the doubleheader coming up. Houston, KC are the big one between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. That's it. The San Diego Chargers reign as champions of the AFC West. Great job by Bobby Ross and his staff. On a team that was not picked to contend, they take the title. And for Pete Carroll, a time of self-examination for the entire Jets organization with one game left to play in this '94 season.